Something a little different, something we've never done before, and something we've been very, very excited to do with GameDay Squad. And as some of you would know, there's prize cards are given out to some of the best for the year, and that didn't include us this year.
No, we fell short. If you've been following along all year, one of us was sort of in the hunt, the other was nowhere near it.
Yeah, look, mate, unfortunately, you were nowhere near it. I was somewhat there, as you mentioned, but not quite. But we're here today to do a draft event. We're going to have our 20 winners draft their prize cards live here today on this stream. And we are going to do a song and dance about it because it's an awesome effort. It was a great year that all these competitors had. And now's their chance to reap some of that reward with a prize card of their choice. Now, we're going to take you through sort of how this is going to work in a second here. But we're just going to make sure we're good on all the socials.
I've just checked. It looks like we're working. Like we said, first time here for the prize cards. We're super pumped for it. Looks like everything's working. If there is any issues, just comment, and one of the guys helping out behind the scenes, i.e. Kerm, will be able to look after it and let us know. So I'm pretty pumped because we've got 20 prize cards to give away, 10 for the top 10 in our Classic and 10 for the top 10 in our Champion. And what I'm super pumped is we've actually got a few of our coaches who have won prize cards. They're going to be joining us along the stream at different points and actually announcing their cards and talking through them live. So we're going to sit here, tell them what they should have done, but unfortunately, like we said, we don't get a choice.
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, hopefully this all works smooth. I'm so excited, and let's get into it. Let's take you through how this is going to work today and talk about the draft. Now, the best coaches, as I mentioned, through from Champion to the Classic, so the 1 to 10 in Champion, then 1 through to 10 in Classic, which will be a total of 20. You can see the little table there. They're going to make their selections today. Now, in order to make their selections, they're going to have 90 seconds on the clock. So when it's their turn to come up and to make their selection, 90 seconds, they're going to post their selection in a chat we have, and then we're going to announce it here live. We're going to talk through their picks, and yeah, we're going to have a bit of fun with this one, mate, because it's all about having fun here. So, yeah, anything else you want to add to that?
No, just that I'm super jealous, but these guys have put in a lot of work throughout the season and obviously done quite well. So, yeah, you've got to be consistent to be in the top 10. We learned that the hard way, and unfortunately, that's why we're not here. So, super pumped to have a couple of these coaches come on, tell us who they're picking. And I can't wait for a few shocks. Because I think starting off, there's going to be a tier 1 of players. I think I've got 4 in my tier 1, but I reckon right away we might see a curveball. Now, we don't actually know the order. It's been kept from us as well. So we're going to be reacting live with everyone along as well. So, yeah, we're super pumped for it.
Nice. Well, I guess the question that some people might have that are watching is like, what is a prize card? And I guess why does someone want a prize card?
Yeah, absolutely. So prize cards are basically like your trophy card in-game, and you can only get them by finishing at the top of a seasonal competition. So in this case, for the Aussie rules, we have top 10 for our Classic and Champion competitions. Now, how they work here, they've got a score multiplier of 1.4, but they've got a salary cap hit of 600,000, and there's only one card per player every season. So they are very valuable. If you jump on our transfer market, you'll see they are the most sought after cards because of that advantage that they get there. But they only come around once a year. So we've got a few players today that might be getting their 4th. So like Andrew Brayshaw, for example, he's already got 3 prize cards out in the wild. Today could be his 4th. And I also reckon we're going to see the debut of a few players.
Definitely.
Take someone like Tristan Cherry. How high is he going to go on the board tonight? Can't wait to see. But it's going to be the first prize card that he has. And that's part of the strategy. Some coaches will already have prize cards. Some it'll be their first time selecting. So there's a lot of strategy about tonight. Do you go for the best player? Do you go for the best player that you like? Do you go for someone best fit? It's it's a lot of different decisions the coaches are going to be making, and a few of them are going to be making it on the fly tonight. So we're keen to sort of see how it all goes. And I reckon, Tom, we're getting pretty close to actually figuring out who's going to be picking.
100%, mate. We are getting very close. We're going to start the countdown very soon. But I think before we get into it, mate, let's talk about, I guess, our rankings. I've got your pre-draft rankings here. Talk to me, your top 10. Couple of names maybe that, let's say, aren't in my top 10.
Yeah, I think, like I said,
list.
For me, pretty clear top 3, Dacos, Gould and Sheasel. I know Cherry's going to be a hot name tonight. could potentially knock off that top spot. But for me, I like the tried and tested guys, those top three. Flanders sneaks in there. A bit of a shock. I never would have thought I'd have Flanders in at number 5, but going down back, he could be, again, another top-tier player. And then across there, I've got Will Ashcroft very high. I think that's probably the one that'll jump out at most people. I'm super high on that guy. I'd be wanting to get myself a prize card of him because I want to play the long game with him. I reckon he's going to be the best player in the competition in a couple of years' time. And yeah, I would love to have one of him.
I'm getting some comments here. Do you want to pull your mic a little closer?
Yes, absolutely.
Apparently, you're a little bit quiet. I know my voice doesn't need to be.
I can definitely turn up my mic.
Turned down.
You know what? Finn McGuinness, I believe, may be telling me that he's just on the tag. He's been tagging everyone all year. Look at him. This is how close he's going to get to me tonight, making sure that I'm not getting any prize card touches. So that's my draft board, and rounding off with Andrew Brayshaw. So.
Alrighty. Well, I guess without further ado, I'm going to get into my draft board, but I think let's get the clock going. It's time to start drafting here, and we've done a little bit of preparation. Here we go. Look at the clock, and the clock is going to start now. 90 seconds for our coach that is currently with the number 1 overall pick. My pre-draft rankings, no surprises here. At number 1, it's Errol Goulden.
And we've got to say, congratulations to Jurgen, the winner of our champion competition, is now on the clock. So awesome year. It's a very hot champion competition, and he's come away with the top spot. So, he's going to have some fun with who he's got here. But take me through your draft rankings.
Absolutely. I think Goulden might be a little bit of a shock, but should be within everyone's sort of top 3,
If they've been following along all year, Goulden is not a shock.
Well, to some it would be. They probably wouldn't have him there. But to me, I just think he's the best player in the competition, best dynasty asset. Must have. Dacos, Sheasel, pretty vanilla. But Cherry has definitely climbed up this. I think as a ruck, he is just a unicorn of a player at the moment, and a unicorn of a prospect. So, look, he's taken my 4th spot. And if you told me that pre-season, I wouldn't believe you. So, mate, it is awesome to see that. Nick Martin at number 5. Does he get a position change next year?
That's very high.
In the defence? I reckon he's very valuable. He's a good dynasty asset either way, whether he's in the mids or in the defence. But Walsh, Flanders, Marshall, another ruck in there.
Yeah, can we get to the real one here? Bailey Smith.
Where's he going to play? That's why there's an asterisk there, because he has wanted out, and I think we know he's been wanting out of the doggies for a while. So,
Tom, I've got the words that are just magical. You ready?
The pick is in.
The pick is in. Jurgen has made his selection at number 1.
Oh, my goodness. Alrighty, mate, take it away. The number 1 pick in this draft.
Congratulations, Jurgen. You've definitely earned this guy, and what a year you both have had here. The pick is in. With the first pick in the GameDay Squad, Aussie Rules live draft, Jurgen selects Tristan Cherry, number 1. The big ruckman from North Melbourne has jumped the top tier mids and defenders, and just like this year, out of the blue, finishes off strong.
Oh, mate. Yeah. Wow. Tristan Cherry. I just spoke about him being a unicorn of a prospect. I think Jurgen here thought that 10 times over. Number 1.
Yeah, wow. It's almost, I'm thinking, is it a year ago that Tim English went 1? Or was it 2 years ago? It was one of the picks. I know Tim English went high, so I'm hoping.
We are coming back. Hello. Is there anyone there in the chat? Can they make sure that we are there?
We're just waiting on live here.
I think we're live.
We might be back.
We might be.
Well, appreciate if we are back. Appreciate the patience as we got through that. Such a hot first pick has just shut down the laptop. It didn't want to see any more.
No.
But we definitely do. That was an awesome pick. Bit of a shocker for me. Looks like we're back, Tom. We're good to go. Keep rolling.
I think we are back, mate. We are back. Good to go. Let's see. We can click live here. Alrighty. Let's rumble, cow.
We're good to go. So as we go through the stream tonight, we've got our best available board that we had just to keep track of who we think should be going with the next pick.
Exactly
right.
So
up next is Bales Boys. So if we flick over here in a second, Tom's going to show who we think is going to go with the number 2 pick. For me, I'd be stoked that all 3 of Goulden, Dacos and Sheasel are on the board. So that means Fez at number 4. One of them is going to fall to him. The question is whether he goes for it. So
does he want that card? That's the question.
I don't know.
What does Fez have already? We know how excellent he is with how good he's been. But here we go. The best available. My number one pick and your number one pick are still available on the board.
Still there. So we're getting word that not only we are back live, we're just waiting now for the pick to be in, and we'll be able to get this back up and running. Like we said, appreciate everyone's, as we went through that little hiccup, we are back ready to go.
Alrighty, let's get the countdown for the next pick in, Cal. I just think Goulden must be taken here. Cherry, what a curveball, but honestly, I think it's a good play. Look, you want a point of difference, let's call it, when you're taking these prize cards. You want someone that you can set and forget for an entire season and just know they're going to pump out them fantasy points. And I'll tell you what, there was no hotter player in the competition than Tristan Cherry to end the 2024 campaign.
And he's only 25, which is what, 19 for as a ruckman. That's a 19 in ruck years. So, yeah, he's going to be a gun player for years to come. And Folds reminds me of the old Goldstein back in the day with fantasy when it was Goldie. That was the elite ruckman to have. North have found another. But their elite player down back is still on the board here. You've got Nick Martin. You talked about the change, the potential down to defence. Is that why you've got him so high on the board here? And do you actually think he's going to go fly early, or is that just your board?
No, I would take a fly on him because, as I said, you want someone who's going to be different. And, some of these players, we had a look at some of the prize cards that have been taken in the future. A lot of these have been taken. Cherry, the first of his kind.
Yeah,
there is no other Cherry out there. So if you're looking at a prize card on our platform, there is no other. The only owner is now Jurgen. And, of course, someone like Nick Martin would be the same. There hasn't been a Nick Martin made before. I think as a dynasty asset, he's there. But, Cal, I've just been given word. The pick is in.
The pick is in. Oh, it is. And here we go. With the second pick in the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules draft, Bales Boys selects Harry Sheasel, North Melbourne Kangaroos. Wow. Well, congratulations there to Bales Boys. It's getting second in the competition. No easy feat. And getting a Harry Sheasel, I tell you what, I'd be stoked with that reward. Absolutely. That's a guy who we said coming into the season, he was coming in so hot. And the question was, can he do it if he goes into the midfield? And the strong answer coming out of the year is, yeah, absolutely. You can play this guy anywhere and he's going to find the football.
Exactly right.
I love him. And who would have thought this? North players going 1 and 2.
Now that you say it, I didn't even think about it.
But now I think about it, it makes a lot of sense in drafts, right? Because this is normally where North go, 1 and 2. So probably have a Harley Reid go off here the board in third, just the way that the ladder's been. So
that's true. North Melbourne love to pick from the top, and they're going to continue to get those honours, as the seasons go along. But today they've got the 1 and 2 overall pick. Harry Sheasel, I know as an owner of one of his All-Star cards throughout this season, you were massive on him prior, and I think those feelings wouldn't have changed during the 2024 campaign as well.
No, and maybe ask the chat here. So I was just talking to you about this before, Tom. I made a trade at the start of the year. I gave away a diamond Luke Ryan for an All-Star Harry Sheasel. I think I won the trade. Does everyone think I won that trade, or did I lose it giving up that Luke Ryan diamond in the year that he had? But anyway,
look, I think it's neat as well. You play in the classic competition. You're not going to be starting a Diamond Ryan in there. So it might be a win-win.
I might have.
At some points, but I'll tell you what, you wouldn't have at the end.
No, wouldn't have. Let's get Dabblers on the board here at pick 3. Dabblers has had a couple of picks. He was very strong last year, of course. So he's back here for his third selection. Get that clock going. Put him on the clock. And surely looking at this here, Goulden or Dacos? One of us is going to be right.
Goulden,
should
Dacos.
be.
What if there's a Flanders in the works here in the realms, and we're not sure?
I've obviously got him quite high up on the board. Flanders still very, very young, of course, and had a phenomenal year. Question is, does he become the main guy on the Gold Coast there? Or if he's not already, but actually in their footy side. So I would love a Flanders, particularly as he goes off half back. You're not worried about him becoming a midfielder. Potentially with those other guys, you are. But for me,
what about the Dan Rioli legacy rumours?
That is, you know what? You're right. I'd be scared. Dan Rioli, your boy, who you talked into existence, and it finally came true. So
it didn't really.
He did hit 100 for the first time for the season.
At least he cracked triple digits a couple of times.
Took him long enough and took enough hype in the preseason. He's going to be playing here on the beautiful Gold Coast. But For me, it's still Dacos or Goulden. Dacos still, we just saw in that last round when he needs touches, he can get touches. And for Goulden, it's, of course, being the best player. And he was the highest scoring averaging last year and was the highest averaging mid this year. But, Tom, the pick is in.
Oh, gosh, let's go.
Alrighty.
What's your thoughts?
And with the
I think
third,
it's Goulden. Anyway,
with the third pick in the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules draft, Dabblers selects Nick Dacos, Collingwood Magpies, number 3. Congratulations. Has just picked up an absolute weapon. You can talk about how good Nick Dacos is because I know Dabblers is going to be pretty stoked he's got him now.
Absolutely, mate. Dabblers is going to be thinking, how did Nick Dacos just fall to me at number 3? And that's a great question because honestly, before this season started, he would have been the number 1 candidate for a lot of coaches. And I think still he has a really strong case for being the number 1. I know he was yours. He was my number 2. So he's in there and amongst it. But to get him at the 3rd spot, I guess the big question mark maybe on Dacos is he going to continue to be a defender in 2025? But we had this conversation before.
Doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters whether he's playing as a midfielder, as a defender. The average talks for itself, and his performance on the footy field does the same. Just the eye test, everything. You know why Collingwood was so big on drafting him and even still making sure they want to keep Nick Dacos for their squad because they truly rely on him in a lot of games. He's going to continue to deliver for the Magpies over these seasons.
Yeah, no, it was quite fantastic. And remember, this was 122 as a defender was a down year for him. I think that was below expectations, and that just shows you how good he is at his age. So
we have a comment here. Can I draft Ezekiel Elliott? Well, maybe in another FL, you could.
I'll allow it.
Just not
up the Cowboys.
The NFL. This isn't unfortunately one of those drafts, but
maybe soon.
We're going Zeke, are we?
Rico Dow.
Okay.
Pick 4, we have the GDS GOAT, the early GDS GOAT, and we've got to see can he keep the crown. Fez is up with the 4th pick. And do you know what he's got?
What does he got?
He's got
a chance.
Errol Goulden sitting in his lap. But Fez has been around for a little bit. Yep. One of our early users.
Yep.
He might have a Goulden. This is a situation where potentially you go, you know what? I don't need the Goulden. I'm going to go for something different. And we see another name potentially we've got on our best available or someone completely different as well. So let's get him on the clock.
Let's get him on the clock right now. Are we ready?
And
the clock is ticking. 1 minute, 90 seconds.
And we've got Fez as a bonus. Fez is going to be our first coach joining us live. So we're going to announce the pick, and then we're going to talk to the great man himself. So not only can he is he dominant in Aussie rules, he's obviously very dominant in women's Aussie rules as well. Just look at the leaderboards and our cricket as well. So this guy really is the GameDay Squad GOAT. So whatever pick he makes here, Tom, is the correct pick. So
yeah, you can't really fault someone like this, can you? And that's the issue, is that he's that guy, and he's proved it time and time again. And if I'm gonna want to criticize him, he's just gonna be like, "Where are you this year?" And you know what? You're right. I'm not in this draft, and I'm gonna be taking lots of notes here.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where he goes.
Who are we thinking he's gonna take? Look, it's one of those things where he's either gonna go a Goulden or I'm feeling he takes a big flyer on someone. He just goes, you know what, point of difference player, someone who's maybe not available in the prize card sort of market, and he's going to want to take that. So we will see. I'm very interested to see what he's going to roll with, who he's going to go with. But, of course, we're waiting for this pick to get in, and we're hoping that his pick is coming very soon.
Tom, the pick's in. Fez is in. We can see him in the green room, ready to go. I'm going to get you getting ready, set up. We all green light for Fez's pick?
Yep. Green light for Fez's pick. Let's go.
Fantastic. With the 4th pick in the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules draft, Fez selects Errol Goulden, Sydney Swans. And to talk about it, we've got the great man here jumping on with us.
What a pick.
Fez, mate, welcome and congratulations.
We can hear you, mate. Can you hear us nice and fine? Hopefully this is all working well. Oh, goodness, mate. I reckon Goulden here, you saw my draft board. I'm just licking my lips and I'm so jealous. He's just had such a fantastic campaign and he continues to deliver. Just when you think you want to count him out, he's not performing. He just doubles down and plays well. Mate, you had a great season and I'm sure you're stoked about getting this card.
Oh, so we're just saying that we can't hear Fez on stream. So we've got you saying all the right things. There we go. Should be good to go. So you were just saying you missed out last year on a prize card. You finished 11th. So this year you thought leave nothing to chance. You've jumped there. Pick for Errol Goulden. Fantastic pick. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got some message in the chat here. They can hardly hear you at all, Fez, unfortunately. Guys, was that any better? Did I change any of the settings there? If we can confirm that. Sorry, as again, this is the first time we're trying to roll this out. But Fez, mate, we appreciate you having you on. Is there any, I guess, as one of the game day goats, is there any fantasy advice?
Sorry. The game day goat.
True.
Sorry,
true.
Fez.
Any fantasy advice you can to give to people who are maybe starting out and what they should be looking for here in GameDay Squad?
Ooh. Yeah.
For sure.
It does.
Mate, Fez, thanks so much for your time. We're going to continue to kick along with this draft, mate, and maybe we'll see you here again next year. I have a good feeling that could be true.
Cheers, Fez.
Alrighty, let's get back to the draft, hey? Well, it is time to start getting back into all the picks. Are we ready to get to the next pick, Kel?
We are not ready yet. We've got to put them on the clock. Still waiting. Pick 5, we've got the Movementarians coming in. So not joining us live here, but we're going to go to our best available in just a little bit. But Goulden obviously was the big name. I think we are ready to go for the best available there.
Let's do it. Best available picks from our rankings so far. Nick Martin at the top. Who would have thought? See a name like that.
So we both got those 4. They were the 4 that we thought would go tier 1. And I don't know about you when I was doing up my rankings. It was those 4. And then it was just an absolute, I didn't know where to go. And I didn't know where to go until I think about 18, 19 was the first time I went, okay, there's a cutoff on that line. Because this is where you start to go, do you go best available? Do you go for someone who, I think Will Ashcroft's going to be an absolute weapon in 5 years' time?
Yeah.
Do you just go, no, I don't care that Zach Merritt is 30 years old this season. He's going to be an absolute jet in the midfield and I care about next year. It comes down to case by case, and that's why we love the draft. We want to see someone do something crazy here. You want them to go for Rowan Marshall, which is just a big slap in the face for your Tim English gang.
When did I say that? I want them to go Nick
Martin. Yeah, well, Rowan Marshall's on your board, which tells me that Tim English isn't. So Yeah, I can't wait to see it. And you've somehow snuck Geordie Dawson in there as well.
Somehow snuck.
Again,
He
I don't
says.
know how he keeps getting on these lists.
I don't know how
Not that
you
good.
keep disrespecting someone who's better than your prize card with Rosie. Thank you very much. Where's he on your list?
I didn't need him.
Didn't make the cut.
Didn't make the best available. Didn't need him.
Don't worry. Tim English is, we know the season he's had.
The pick is in, and you're going to like it.
Oh, English gang.
With the 5th pick in the Game Day Squad Aussie Rules draft, the Movementarians select Rowan Marshall, St Kilda. Hashtag English gang. Congratulations. 5th. That's 2 ruckmen in the top 5 we've got there. And I tell you what, I know that Cherry's the sexy pick with the way he finished it, but looking at the last 2 years as a total, this has been the guy in the ruck.
It has.
So absolutely, no. If you're going to tell me there was 2 ruckmen off and you knew it'd be Marshall there, no surprise of an English gang. But like we said, could be a play. Do you think that the high ruckman the next year is going to be a bit of a strategy? You know they're not going to change position, and you know you've got to play at least 2 of them every week.
Well, look, let's just talk about the facts, right? And what we know as facts is that Cherry and Rowan Marshall were the 2 hottest players in the competition to end this campaign. So you're looking at someone like Marshall. I know all the attention was on Cherry, but Marshall was pumping out 150s, 160 scores just for a living during this. And I think that, people sort of were undermining what he was doing a little bit because Cherry was so great, but that doesn't take away from what Rowan Marshall was doing. I know he had one of the highest averages period over the season out of all fantasy players. So at 28 years old, maybe turning 29 next season, I think it's a great play. We know that rucks fortunately age a little bit like they work in dog years. They're like fine wines. They get better as they go, but Rowan Marshall has plenty left in the tank, and I feel like this is a really good pick at this spot. So number 5, Rowan Marshall. I had a couple curveballs in there, but if you're looking at the numbers, this is probably the way to go.
Yeah, I do like it. It does shore up that second ruck spot, or at least one if you've got him. And there's only one Rowan Marshall, so obviously someone selected him last year, but this is the second Rowan Marshall prize card out in the wild now. So, yeah, great pick there. At number 6, we have MP666. Fitting that he's finished in the number 6 spot. Remember, we've got 5 more in the champion, and then we head over to the Seaman, who was first in our classic competition and going to have the 11th pick. So MP666 is on the board, and honestly, this could go anywhere.
This could go anywhere. Now, this is where I feel like people start taking a couple risks. They start hitting some grand slams, as they say in baseball terms. Where do you go like this? Do you go squad need? Do you go best available player in terms of value? Do you take a big swing, as I said? Go someone a little outrageous.
Do you have a name? Do you have an early name for the most outrageous player selected in the draft?
Most outrageous
out
player
of the top 20, outrageous name. Do you have
well,
an early?
I'd go one that maybe others won't have that I'll have, and it could be the goggles on.
Yeah, hit me.
Isaac Heaney, what should have been the Brownlow medalist. That could be a big swing, and it could get good ding.
Should have won Mark of the Year, apparently.
Should have won Mark of the Year 3 times over in the last game. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he definitely should have. I can confirm I was there with Tom on the weekend, and he definitely lost his voice at that game. So I'm glad you got it back because I was a little bit worried there.
Well, the funny thing is, I didn't lose my voice at Heaney. I actually lost it at Logan McDonald. Taking that snap.
All time. The pick is in, Tom. You ready?
Yes, I am ready. Let's do it.
With the 6th pick in the Game Day Squad Aussie Rules draft, MP666 selects Nick Martin, Essendon Bombers. Right off the top of Tom's best available board. You've nailed that one. I'll hand it over to you. Talk about what is he getting in Nick Martin?
What can I say? My rankings are it. Well, I think this is a fantastic pick. This is one of those players that you just look at his season and I don't think you quite get to understand how well he played, because if you consider this, he made our all-star squad, which is our best 6 midfielders, and there is such a high possibility that he gets pushed back into defence in 2025. So that risk or that gamble alone is already worth it for a player that could even make the all-star squad as a midfielder. You're sort of minimising your damage there. And in a system like Essendon's where you know he's going to thrive. If anyone's going to fall off, it's going to be your McGraths, your Ridleys, your Redmonds. But Nick Martin is that guy. And in that system, it's a pretty safe play. And I absolutely love this pick at number 6.
Averaged almost 127 points, which is more than players like Bont, Butters, Dawson, and of course, like you said, Merritt there. So he's got the upside now. Is he going to be playing down back? We'll have to wait and see what the stats guys come back with. But yeah, I tell you what, he's going to be in that Union squad MP66 regardless of what position he's playing. So
what a card! This one hurts. Eric Goulden hurt. Martin hurts to see them go off the board only because they are such good picks.
Let's get the clock going now because we have number 7, Relton's Rockets, and Mark is going to be joining us on stream to talk through his pick
We'll have a look. Hopefully we can get the...
Turn up your audio, Mark. Turn it up.
Audio issues sorted. But, look, it didn't sound like there was a problem in the last. So, hopefully... We're going to do it this time. It's going to be smooth sailing. But if not, we might have to can the old...
I reckon we've got curveball coming up here.
Curveball? Mark? Well, I know who he took in the year that I won a prize card. He went Bailey Smith, and like myself, he is still, to this day, waiting to debut that card.
Yeah, there are 2 Bailey Smith cards that are prize cards. And none of them have ever set the field.
Have ever touched the field, actually. Actually, one time I subbed him in just to see how he would look.
He made it was there on a Thursday night. Didn't make it by the game Saturday.
Well,
Well, he might be. We might have a third one here. I reckon. What do you reckon? Mighty Hoss thought that Relton's Rockets thought that, you know what? Maybe I'll get a second Bailey Smith.
Oh, gosh, I hope not for his sake. You got to spread the love a little bit. If you are getting, and having the opportunity to be a good enough coach to take a double dip or even triple at some point, I think you got to diversify your
we got to see
players a little,
because potentially if you're NFL fans at Atlanta Falcons, doesn't matter if you have a quarterback, grab another one. And maybe that's what he's thinking right here with Bailey Smith. So now I reckon he's going to go Flanders. I think this is the Flanders pick.
This is the Flanders pick?
I reckon Kerm being his friend.
What about a Walsh? Walsh is on both of our boards here. I know Flanders is higher on both of our boards, but
yeah,
could you see a Walsh going somewhere like here?
Could see a Walsh. Could see someone like a Tom Green, maybe just backing the talent and just being like, this year was just a bad year. So
yeah, it was a really tough year for him, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, so we're going to have, it looks like the pick, we're just waiting here.
To get confirmation?
Confirmation. The pick is in. Don't want you looking. Because we're going to wait, because we're waiting, like we said, he's going to be jumping on stream here. So just waiting to get the all clear that he's in the green room, ready to go. And then we're going to announce his pick.
Yeah. Well, everyone that is in the chat, definitely help us along here. If you're unable to hear the Relton's Rockets are our 7th place winner, just let us know, and unfortunately you might have to discontinue the call-ins, which is a little upsetting because
don't want that negative energy out there, because we're about to have an absolute bombshell here with the 7th pick. Are you ready for this?
Alrighty, Cal, get us going, mate. What is it?
With the 7th pick in the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules draft, the Relton's Rockets select Harley Reid, West Coast Eagles.
Wow. Now that is what we're talking about. Harley Reid, Mr. Don't argue with the man himself. Relton's Rockets, we have you here. Talk us through this decision. I love it, but it definitely took me by surprise.
We've got you loud and clear.
I can hear you loud and clear. I
Fingers
don't know
crossed.
if we're the problem here. Hopefully the stream can.
Oh, well, we're just getting confirmation that we can't hear you. It's saying it's quiet again. So, unfortunately, it might mean that while we love having you on the stream, it might be short and sharp. But you know what's not going to be short and sharp? Harley Reid's future. That guy is going to be an absolute beast, which means you've got him. Unless Tom can do some magic here. Shake of the head. No. Sorry, we're going to have to let you go, Mark. But great pick. I told you it'd be spicy. And yeah, Harley Reid, definitely one for the future, and I like it. Like I said, I had the Will Ashcroft up there for someone like that.
Yeah,
Harley Reid's in that same bucket.
Well, Mark, sorry, mate. Hopefully next time we'll have that all sorted. That's a shame, but let's continue. Harley Reid, who would have thought? Honestly, that is just wow.
Yeah, wow's the word. Would have loved to have had that chat with him. Like he said, he was saying that, hey, I want to pick this for the next 5 years because he's not sure he's going to get back there. He's been quite competitive in all our competitions since we started. So, yeah, have some faith. I know it's a tough competition. It's only going to get bigger next year. So, yeah, I like to see him back. But I tell you what, I do like the pick. Stashing that player away.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Look, man, it is, as I said, definitely took me by surprise. But if you just watch him for a moment, you can see he passes the eye test and more. I guess the only thing holding him back is the West Coast system currently. But we have seen that when he is so good that he can be amazing. So.
Yeah, he absolutely can. Just that game against the Melbourne rings out to me where I think he pushed off Petrarca and Oliver at the same centre clearance and kicked the goal. So that is the sort of upside that we want there. So Wrong But So Right is back once again amongst the price cards. And at pick 8, he's got himself a decision to make. And again, if you're in this position right here, are you locking in Walsh? I know Walsh is best available, but are you locking in Walsh? Are you going with one of those guys like a Brayshaw or Walsh or Tom Green that have the potential to be an absolute leader of our game, but maybe didn't have the year that we wanted?
I'm taking Dan Rioli.
Gold Coast Dan Rioli going to be different.
He'd build different out there, man.
That's what happens when players come to the Gold Coast. They get better. Yeah. They definitely don't treat it like a holiday.
They get to spend time at the old Burley pub. I think it has a little bit of magic up here, mate. But look, I'm probably going to be taking someone. I think it's a toss-up between two. It's Flanders or Walsh, but I think the upside maybe of Flanders with the potential of being a defender. Do you sort of lean that way, or are you just going to think of, best available player, the talent, and maybe a safer option in Walsh, just knowing what he's going to be next year for the Carlton?
Yeah, I think it'd be very hard not to go with someone like Walsh. For me, probably I'd take a Butters. Can you imagine if I could pair Butters and Rosie in my midfield together? That would be fantastic.
Alrighty, Cal. No time for games. It's all time for business.
The pick is in, and with the 8th pick, So Wrong But So Right selects Will Ashcroft, Brisbane Lions. I like that one.
Wow.
I like that one a lot.
Well, clearly, people in this draft had a little bit of a different mindset to us. They wanted to be going with young players. They wanted to go with the value. Who's not only going to be good for years to come, but in maybe 6-7 years, who are you going to be able to continue to roll out into your squads? And someone like Will Ashcroft is exactly that.
Well, I think it's a great pick. Like I said, I think this guy's going to be the best player in the comp in a few years. Think about when he came back and scored those couple tons at the end of the year. And they say an ACL is about an 18th month injury. So he's going to have another preseason. Plus get that healing. He's going to be prime next year. Lockie Neal out of the midfield in a couple of years. This guy straight in. Dunkley to have him under his wing for the next 5 years as well. So I love it. Absolutely love it. We've started to go with some picks, and you were saying before about Heaney, and we've got number 9 here. We've got Bickers in Bick Nation coming onto the clock. So we'll get him onto the clock.
We ready to go back?
We are ready to go to our updated best available. And you know how I was saying before? Well, you were saying you'd go with Heaney.
Yeah.
With all these youngins, Jason Horne-Francis, anybody? Anybody at all? Don't let what we're going to put out on Friday night scare you from how good this guy's going to be. But I'm just saying, if you're going to go for young guns, number 1 picks, he could be the guy.
Could be the guy.
Could be.
I don't think so.
But look at that board. If you'd have said 2 years ago that you'd have the chance to get Walsh, Brayshaw, Green at the 9th pick, you'd be like, what's happened? What happened to the guys?
No.
They've been good. They just haven't been great.
You'd be calling for something because it just wouldn't be possible at that point.
Poor Callum Mills, one of the top dynasty prospects 2 years ago. Jeez.
Poor Callum Mills.
He's got a prize card out here.
What a shame. He's probably going to win it all this year. Poor bugger, eh?
There's a list of prize
Poor
cards.
Fella, Callum Mills. He's living the tough life.
Everyone always talks. I'm going to go with this. Everyone always talks about players that go well. You got to put Bickers here on the clock. We've got to talk about players that maybe haven't gone so well as prize card selections. Because you take them here. What about some of the... And I'm not going to call them busts, but I'm going to give you some names and you're going to tell me what you think. Clayton Oliver. There's 2 of him out there.
That stings. Probably doesn't make my top 40 players.
That one stings. There's an LDU, but the guy who picked it said he loves North and he's picked it because of LDU.
He's in my top 30 though, so I'd see there and abouts.
Yeah, so that one kind of passes.
Yeah.
Rory Laird.
Absolutely not. He could be playing off the half back next year.
And shout out last one, Noah Anderson, who, not a terrible one, but as
Look,
you know,
he would just be outside of my top. That's a good pick still.
yeah. I tell you what,
Been a bit
not the
tough
worst.
there.
Maybe that's just a dig at Kerm.
That's a dig at the Suns because you like to take jabs at people because you just don't like Ken Hinkley.
Yeah, that is true. Last game, get around it this weekend, guys. Can't wait.
Can't wait for that extension.
Can't wait. There has been a change in the pink ranking. So, not sure what that means, but maybe that means an audible, a last-minute change of picks. So, maybe that means that...
Are we waiting for some confirmation?
Maybe the picks have moved around. So...
Just never quite know. Well, this is interesting. What do we think then? If it's moved around, there's clearly someone wants someone really bad in this spot. Well, they're gunning for it.
You know what? I've seen two things. Number one, if they run off the clock and they don't get their pick in, we should choose it for them. And number two, Lewis in the chat I can see is Jason Horn-Francis is actually a star. Yeah, he absolutely is. So I know Lewis is on the board in just a couple picks. Hopefully he can tell us how much of a star he is and how much he believes in him by picking him up at number 11. But he won't be there. He's going this pick, I'm telling you.
You reckon?
No.
No, he's not.
Not at all. The pick is in. Confirmed. You ready?
The pick is in. Let's go, Cal.
Oh! They've run back. We've been given the yes-no wait.
We've been given the audible into the fake pass, the fake play, back into snap around the boundary goal.
While this is happening, just want to take the moment just to say thank you everyone for the support this year. We had an awesome time being involved in the Aussie Rules show, but also everything we do here in GameDay Squad.
Yeah.
And we're super pumped for next year as well. Got a lot happening with the platform that we're really excited about. And yeah, I know footy's finishing here. Going to move straight into the women's Aussie Rules and then the basketball and then the cricket.
Yeah.
And pre-season will be back. So appreciate everyone's support.
I enjoyed this year, smashing you.
Couldn't do it without the love and support of everyone that plays along in the game. So yeah, appreciate that. Here we go. Pick is in. At pick 9, Big Nation selects Sam Flanders.
Wow. This is a good pick.
Good pick.
This is just taking, I think, value when value falls. You know, in drafts, and it's very common across all sports that there are going to be sliders. People are going to slide down the draft rankings, slide down, the board. And Bickers has come in here, seen what he thinks is best available player, best option to pick for his prize card. I'm loving it.
Probably the smartest decision on the board to make. I know you could have, if you had a favourite player there, you could have talked yourself into it. But like you said, this guy's going to be a defender next year. He was surprisingly. Is he?
I think he is.
If he's not, yeah. Where did he finish for the season? So second only to Zorko, who obviously was another guy who's going to go down back with 127. So that's more than someone like Heaney, who you claim was robbed of the Brownlow, even though it hasn't happened, and he hit someone in the face.
He was robbed.
Did hit someone in the face.
And you're the same person to say that Dan Houston hit was clean. Yes, he did. I can pull up the messages. But anyway, we're not here to talk about players getting suspended and getting robbed of Brownlows. We're here to talk about Sam Flanders. It's a great pick. I think this is just one of those players that, again, are there any Sam Flanders? Is this a newborn prize card into the GameDay Squad world?
Sam Flanders. This is a brand new one. First time card.
Yeah.
So
that's what I thought. I didn't think there was another. So again, you're getting a point of difference player. You're getting someone with enormous value in terms of next season. And I just think it was the smart decision. But Cal, we're going to move it on. We've got our last pick here for the champion competition. This is going to be our 10th place winner. So here we go. The clock has already begun. We have a minute 20 here now for our coach. They're going to get their pick in, and then we're going to have a little review of our, let's call it, the first round.
Yeah, definitely. And Stealth 05 onto the board here now. This is the last pick of the champion competition. So just snuck in. Now, it was a really, really close finish. I think, I want to say it was about 100 points or less to the Monk Man. I believe in 11th. You can fact check it, but I know it was close. So congratulations to Stealth 05 for getting this pick. Make it count. Make it count. So he was
stealthy.
We've both got Walsh pretty high. Do you expect to see something like that? You've got Heaney sneaking up that draft board. You were trying to put it out into the world. You got poor Kerm, because coaches have made their decisions. We've got them in advance, but they can still change them, which is why Kerm behind the scenes.
Triple overtime here behind the scenes, trying to make sure that everyone's getting the exact picks that they want. But I'll tell you the pick he doesn't want. Actually, I shouldn't say that in case he takes him. Is Jason Horn-Francis. That's exactly not what he wants.
Well, he's saving him. The Seaman's got him next at 11, first of the Classic. So, who would have been jumping on, but unfortunately, with the issues we've just had with audio coming on with our guests, we're not going to be able to get them on. But that's all right. You can listen to us for the next half hour as we go through and take the second half of the picks. And I've been told the pick is in.
Pick is in. Here we go.
With the 10th pick in the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules Draft, Stealth 05 selects Samuel Walsh, Colton Blues.
Now, again, a slider in the draft. I think it's very similar to the last pick that we just spoke about. We've got a young dynasty asset in someone like Sam Walsh. And, in my opinion, it's a little safer than some of the other players because we know what to expect from Sam Walsh moving forward. Now, we know at the start of this season, he had a lot of issues with injuries, didn't have a full preseason. So let's hope and fingers crossed, this could be one of the first times that we're seeing Walshy come into a year fully healthy and fully ready to go.
Yeah, I think back surgery in 2023 heading into the year. And then, obviously the issues this year. So, I love him as a player. To get him at number 10 is fantastic. I'd be stoked with that.
For sure.
So, but this is the fourth Sam Walsh prize card now out in the world as well. So very, very popular when it comes to these selections.
He's been at the top of dynasty rankings for, let's say, years now.
Since he came in as the number one pick. Yeah,
exactly right.
We're going to have a bit of a recap here of the top 10. Do you want to get that one going?
We're ready to go with that.
We're ready to go. Kerm's working
here we go, the draft
his
board.
Magic. Staring at that, what's the biggest shock? And I think there's an obvious answer.
It's 7
Maybe
and
not
8.
that obvious. Yeah.
7 and 8?
Yeah, I was thinking Reed.
Yeah.
The number one picks. The number one picks
The back-to-back number one picks in consecutive years.
Well, 3 number one picks there on that right-hand side with Walshy as well.
Well, depends how far back we want to
Well,
go.
we can keep going. But, no surprises, I think, with that top 4. Marshall, number 5, rounding it out there, being the second ruckman in there. And then, we kind of thought there'd be a few of those players in there. I think that's pretty sort of standard from here.
Yeah.
The next 10, though, this is where it's going to get spicy.
It sure is.
And kicking that off is going to be the winner of our classic competition, the Seaman, who I'm sure would have loved to jump on and have a chat. He was super excited about this. I believe when we spoke to him earlier, he called this pick spicy.
He did, actually.
He did. So
He did. When we were doing some testing and everything was working before, unfortunately, he definitely was hinting at this is going to be a spicy pick. He's going to be throwing a curveball, let's call it, into this draft, and I can't wait to see where he's going to head with this. What line group do you think he goes with this?
Well, for him, I don't know. I'm not going to make the pick of what line group here, but
I think a defender.
You think a defender?
I can feel it in my plumes.
But Jason Horn-Francis plays not in defender.
He plays in the midfield.
Yeah.
He's going to stay there, unfortunately.
Maybe.
Actually, he spent a bit of time forward, but just
I was going to say, the way he's been playing lately, he can be a full forward. So here we are. We're going to go in. This is congratulations again to our top 10 champion coaches. You've each got yourself a prize card there. Onto the classic competition. These are the 10 players that we could not get near for the whole season. We're going to run through how good they've been and here are the cards that potentially we could have won.
That's for sure. What a great first round, honestly. This has been so much fun already, but the best part about this is we're only halfway done. So we congratulate all of our champion competitors, as you said, but now we're about to welcome all of the classic competitors. We're about to go through from the first place finisher all the way down to 10th. We're going to get their 10 picks, and then we're going to see who they're going to be taking. So I can't wait.
Let's get into it.
Let's get right into it, Cal. We're going to look at the best available board that is currently up. And here we go. Jordan Dawson is up the top for me. Bailey Smith, Merritt, Heaney, and Sarong. It's funny because we don't have a single of the same player.
Yeah, you're right.
This is that point of the draft where people start just completely thinking different. And
this is where wins become losses. And the losses become wins with these fellas that you're going to be selecting here.
You calling this the witching hour?
This kind of is when it comes to the draft here. This is where you've got to get it right. Otherwise, you'll end up like the Darcy Parish pick that was made a couple of years ago. So don't pick your Darcy Parish or your Clayton Oliver. Make sure you go out and
The C man is officially on the clock.
officially on the clock.
Yes.
I want spicy here too. So I don't know what he's submitted here, Kerm, but if it's not spicy, tell him he owes us spicy. And
Send it back.
Send it back. You know what? I don't want to hear a Brayshaw or a Green, and I don't think he's going to.
I want some jalapenos on the top with this one.
He's a Port fan, so I tell you what, Butters, Horn Francis would be screaming.
Isaac Heaney coming.
And you got Sarong above Brayshaw. That must
I do.
be hard to go between those two.
It is hard, but I think, I understand why you've ranked it, but I think for majority of this year, we both would have valued Sarong over Brayshaw.
For the first half,
Yeah.
as always.
As always.
The standard. Imagine that you get a prize card where it's Sarong for the first half of the year, and then after the buys, it turns into Brayshaw, because that card would be the best card in the game. So, anything from the chat, anything you want to read out? We appreciate everyone following along
Yeah, the
live
C
here on
man
YouTube.
is actually posting in the chat. How can I bring the spice when someone's already taken Reed?
Oh.
I think someone stole his thunder, as they would say.
Yeah, his power.
Well, there's a lot of power in those arms and those don't argues, that's for sure.
I love it. I've been outspiced. There's the great quote there. But the pick is in, and Tom,
Alrighty, take it away.
it's still a little bit spicy. With the 11th pick and the first from our classic competition, the Seaman selects Colby McKercher, North Melbourne.
Now, how many North players are going to go in this draft?
I tell you what, he was on my board and he is a great pick. It's number 2 in the draft. Was it last year or the year before? Young guy who came into it, almost averaged 100 by the end of the year. I love the pick. This is definitely one for the future. I don't know if it'll be someone that the Seamen will be rolling out in their squad, because they are quite competitive across the board. I don't know if they'll be playing him next year, but I tell you what, if they do, it's an absolute bonus, and it's an absolute luxury that this guy can pick someone like this and potentially not have to play him. You don't want to pick someone like I do, where you got Rosie, who of the weeks
forced.
you kind
forced.
of feel like you have to play them. But
Yeah.
I like the pick. But you're right, 3 North Melbourne players
Yeah.
inside top.
Well, I'm going to
11.
be honest with you. I don't love the pick, but I do understand the upside here in
Ooh.
someone like McKercher. Like, he's
Give
going
it
to be
to him.
going back into the defence, right? But what role is he going to have? We saw Fisher be fantastic in the same role. We've seen Sheasel be the best player in the competition in their halfback role, and also McKercher. So if he can secure that, that's the big thing. And I think he's taken a big risk here. But as you mentioned, if this pays off, this is going to be someone that no one else has in GameDay Squad, and it's going to lead to him scoring some major points.
Big swing, but it'll be a grand slam of a hit if you get it. I like it, but I also like Tom giving you stick for it. Maybe
You like every pick at this point, mate.
Yeah, well, maybe the second half of it. These are the people that outbeat us. They'll beat us this season.
But
so
don't take my
maybe
advice, because you smashed me this year. So
yeah, we'll get the elbows out with the next bunch of picks.
here we go, Cal. We have our next competitor, our
Number
next
12,
coach on the clock.
Rangi, who second place in our classic competition. They now have a chance to get some pretty good players. It's pretty nice reward being able to choose between one of these guys. I can see it going again. A bunch of different ways. Do you let it get to your head? Is someone like Brayshaw just too vanilla at this point? You don't want to walk out and be like, oh, Brayshaw. You want to ride the wave of a McKercher, ride the wave of a Harley Reid. Is there someone like that maybe that we don't have on our boards or here showing that you can think of?
I think, look, I don't know. It's just funny because we're just thinking so different in this situation. But
Yeah.
I'm just looking at one player. I can sniff him again. Is it time for Heaney, what should have been our Brownlow medalist, to get off the board?
No, it won't be Heaney time. And apparently there is some last-minute changing going on of the pick. This is a tough one. I think the selection of Harley Reid really threw out the board. So,
I think so, because people might have thought
to quote,
Reid should be sliding down to me in this position, and I would be very happy to take what would be the number 1 pick in the draft last season. But others had the same idea and a lot earlier.
Yeah, well, Kerm's saying he needs more time, which means there is a lot going on, which I love. Is it a panic though, or is it I just need some more time to think?
Yeah.
Or is it, hey, can I really get this player on the board? Because
Yeah.
the last thing you want to be doing in this pick is panicking and then walking away with a Zach Merritt and being like, oh no, what have I done?
Exactly. Well, how about Fez here says, you might not have heard, but in my airtime he said he had a shocker pick. That would have been McKercher.
Wow.
At number 4.
At 4. Wow. Geez, you didn't like it at 11. What would you have said at 4?
Goodness gracious. I would have been blown off this seat and
We would have had, we would have had a
meteor.
second computer crash.
I think so. This computer couldn't handle
you know
Cherry
what?
at number 1.
Fez could have taken McKercher at 1 and it would have been the right thing to do.
Yeah, look. And I think the Seaman, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He
Way
sees
more than us.
he sees something in McKercher that clearly I don't see. And what's the bet next year? I'm going to be sitting here being like, McKercher is the best player in the competition. He goes to number 1 in our ranks.
I'm for it. They might not know how to play football, but they can play fantasy football. So, yeah, we do love.
I've heard the pick is in.
The pick is in, and at number 12 in the Aussie Rules GameDay Squad draft, Rangi selects Mateus Philippou, St Kilda.
Oh,
there's
my goodness.
another spicy one.
This is super spicy. What's your thought, Mateus Philippou? This is a player that I was trying to get into my forward line later this season, but unfortunately was battling, was it illness? Had a couple rounds off, but when he was in, we saw, and unfortunately in a game against the Swans, I had to see him just dominate the field.
Yeah, so he was out illness late, but he got dropped at the start of the year. So high draft pick from a couple of years ago. I think he famously or infamously said can't wait to play in front of big Melbourne crowds, and then St Kilda picked him up, which was a bit of a lull. Solid year, came back, got dropped, but yeah, the form he came back in. I tell you what, if he continues that trajectory that he was on the end of the year, I actually love it as a pick. So yeah, that was, I was asking for someone spicy. Philippou wasn't in my mind, but I tell you what, it ticks the box of spicy there.
It definitely does.
But would you have gone it over someone like that we had on the board, like we said there before? There are a few more solid names, but coaches are opting to go for a bit more of a swing with the upside.
Yeah, they're just going the younger players. People are just looking at this from a dynasty perspective. Maybe in our rankings, we had more of a win-now mentality. We're looking at players that had some higher averages in the 2024 campaign and not really thinking about the development of some of these players in years to come, because a lot of these picks that we've just spoken about, McKercher, Reed, a lot of our younger players, we don't know what their points are going to look like in 3 to 4 years' time. But, with such a solid foundation now, they could be the best players in the competition. And we could be sitting here at that time being like, wow, if that decision that they made a couple of years ago has now led to having one of the best cards in GameDay Squad.
I love it, and that's what you're playing for. You're playing for that. You want to get that player that's got that huge upside and get on them early. So, yeah, I do love it, and that's what we love about GDS, the dynasty aspect of it, because who doesn't like picking players that you think are going to be absolute stars in 5 years? Speaking of which, Butters, I tell you what, you're talking about win now and a young age. Surely
he sort of ticks both of those boxes.
Yeah, and like you said before, he's a big boom or bust guy. So in a competition where seasonal or where the round competitions get you the cash prizes, he is a guy that can win you a round. Admittedly, can have a stinker, but on average, he's still very good for your squad. So that's why I'm going him. You're going the other side of Adelaide, Jordan Dawson, who just seems to be Mr. Consistent there, getting his certain kicks, unless he's pushed down in the forward line for some weird reason.
Oh, don't talk to me about it. It still hurts.
Still hurts. Well, speaking of 13, unlucky, Slam Dunkley is back on the clock.
Slam Dunkley, our 2022 winner.
Our 2022 winner has fallen all the way down from first down to third, and now gets another pick at a prize
all
card.
The way. Let's ease up there a little bit.
It was meant to be a joke.
All 2 spots.
So they're going to have a spot here. Again, some pretty good. What about a Dunkley? We haven't seen him.
Haven't seen him.
Wouldn't that look good on a card?
Would look.
Slam Dunkley's return.
There is a Dunkley already out there.
Is it? We got a Dunkley out there?
I think there's a Dunkley prize card out there.
There is not a Dunkley card prize out there. No, there's not. We've got a Geordie Dawson somehow.
Shocking. With how good he's been, that does shock me that there isn't.
No. So That would be a bit of a shock. They're saying the pick is in. Are you ready for this one?
The pick is in, mate. Why don't you take it away? Tell us who it is.
With the 13th pick in the GDS Aussie Rules draft, Slam Dunkley returns, selects Bailey Smith from club soon to be announced.
This makes me feel good.
I bet it does.
Oh, this makes me feel good. This makes me feel like that maybe it's coming. The time is coming where there's going to be 3 Bailey Smiths out there that are finally going to get the field and hit the field at the same time. Just Slam Dunkley's return didn't have to wait as long as me.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great pick. Was made a forward at the start of this year or at the end of last year when he unfortunately did his ACL.
Yep.
I had been buying up all the Bailey Smiths I could find because I was like, this guy is going to be. If you can remember, 2 years ago it was Josh Dunkley. Everyone couldn't get their hands on. I'm like, it's going to be Bailey Smith. Now everyone's had a year to go out and get some Bailey Smith, so I don't know who got the hype. But if he comes back anywhere near the magnet that he was at his best, I absolutely love this pick.
Yeah.
But it would also be very funny if Bailey Smith can't get on the field and there's 3 Bailey Smith prize cards that have not touched the field.
Why would you put that out there?
I'm just jealous I don't have one, I'll be honest.
Hey, Bailey Smith Club, represent Slam Dunkley, Belton Rockets, and
well,
Zeus
it
Cannons.
means on the best available board here, he has jumped off, so I'm keen to see who has jumped onto yours and who's moved on to it.
Are we ready to go back?
We're ready.
Let's get the next time.
You've got Zachy Butters. He's slid on.
Zachy Butters definitely deserves to be in the conversation of players. And as you said, he sort of ticks both boxes. I've got a couple players there in Sarong and Butters who are both young, great dynasty prospects, and are also so good in terms of fantasy output already. So I'm very interested to see where we're going to go with this one and who's going to be on the clock.
Can I give you one that you've got there? You've got Zachy Merritt, and in, 3 weeks' time, he's turning 29. Is he too old for the draft?
No, by no means. Is it more of a win now play? Absolutely. But what if you thought about it in this way? What if you're going to use one of these prize cards and you're good enough, like these guys, to get another prize card next year?
That's what you do, because you don't want to go too far in advance, because then you make it harder to get one next year and next year and next year. So that's where the play is. The value we can see are some of the older players, but the risk is, do you get the players that potentially you won't be able to get in the future when they're absolute superstars, i.e. Reed, McKercher, Ashcroft. So that's why we love the draft.
This is the strategy that goes into it. What are you going to be doing? Are you going to be doing the win now play? And I guess it's just going to depend on what do you have in your club? What options do you have for your squad? And I guess what's your need?
Yeah. Bit going on with this pick by all accounts. We are up to pick 14, Dan's Dynamos, who was going to be jumping on the stream with us.
Yes.
But unfortunately, because we've had a couple of issues with the audio being a bit too quiet, won't be jumping on. But I think they would have come on and said something like, I've got to go with Horn Francis. He's the best available and could be the best player in the comp by next year.
Nah, he would have said, up the Swannies, if I'm not mistaken. A fellow blood. And that we're going to be joining each other at the grand final.
So we're saying Heaney is on the board.
Heaney's on the board.
Do you know who would be a wild pick but a sneaky good one?
I know who you're going to say. And I don't know how I know that.
It's not Rowbottom.
Chad Warner.
No.
Giga Chad? No.
No. Matty Roberts. If you see someone buying up your Matty Roberts cards this summer, it's me. The pick is in.
Pick is in.
All right.
All right, Cal, take it away.
No Swans here. So
no Swans?
No Swans.
Red goggles off.
14th pick in the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules draft. Dan's Dynamo selects Andrew Brayshaw, Fremantle Dockers. He had to go eventually.
He did.
He is an absolute talent, and his highs are very high. But it just seems to be the case. Him and Sarong, it's always just battling it out for that spot there in the middle. But
exactly. That is
now the 4th Andrew Brayshaw prize card. But I still think it's a great one.
Well, I guess it's for good reason, right? We're not taking a prize card if he's not ticking all the boxes for someone who should be taken in our prize card draft. It is a great pick. I personally had Caleb Sarong there, but I think it's a bit of this, it's a bit of that, bit of tomato, bit of tomato. What's your preference with this? And he's gone with Andy B. I guess it's a safer option in terms of if you look at the output over the past couple of years. Andrew Brayshaw, we know the level he can get to.
Yeah, and he said not a chance there for Jason Horne-Francis. I understand, but it's a good pick. It's a good pick.
It's a better pick than Jason Horne-Francis.
We'll see. You wait. Built for September, that guy I heard. Head over to our best available because I believe it'll tick us over on that where I've grabbed another Port player in there. I swear, I didn't have my goggles on
You
for
wait
this.
for my Dan Rioli to pop up. It's coming.
Well, we've only got 6 more picks to go. So Cash Money here at 15th. We've got Hughes Heroes, Beast Mode Madison, Arrogant Frogs, Hasting Hornets, and then Sloth Kings is going to round this out with the Mr. Irrelevant number 20 last in our draft. Although the difference between us and the NFL draft is our 20th pick is definitely not Mr. Irrelevant.
This is very relevant.
This will be extremely relevant, and I'd be happy to take it off him. But we have this coming in. Again, we know who we've gone through. Anything you want to say here at the draft?
For this pick?
For this pick? Draft in general? Anything?
Gosh, I just feel like every...
We don't have to worry about picking anyone, so we've got as much time as we want.
It's good. But I must say, every time I think that someone's going to go, it just hasn't gone that way, of course. The rankings here, barely anyone's been taken off our board over the past 7 picks. Me, personally, I think people sleep on someone like Jordan Dawson a little too much, like yourself. You'll get caught napping and absolutely daydreaming.
For good reason.
Before picking someone like Dawson. But if you look at his fantasy potential and output, he just doesn't have that same dynasty value as some of the others. So I understand if that's the strategy, then you're going to skip on someone like him.
He's just a bit vanilla. Just always do a little bit better than Geordie Dawson, is my feeling.
Do a little bit better than Connor Rozee as well.
Oof, I don't know, you can. That man can play with a torn hamstring.
Yep. He can actually. Ken knew it. Or did he? Maybe he didn't know it at the time.
Didn't want to know. Can I give you a couple of players that are running across the bottom of the screen there with their averages that had insanely good years,
but haven't been taken?
Probably will go undrafted.
Go on.
Dane Zorko, who's back.
But 30 years old.
30 a lot, and maybe playing around for one more year. But high risk, very high reward. And
it is.
Maybe not as high risk is Treloar, who had an incredible year. Most disposals? No, that was just ticked off in the last game. Whitfield just got him. But second most disposals in the comp. Yep. He had an awesome year. Neither of them are going to go pick this draft. I'd be shocked if either of them did.
Fair call. Well, do you know who I'm thinking of? Another player that sort of fits this mold.
Oh, give it to me.
Lachie Whitfield.
Yeah.
Is he getting to that age where he's 30, right?
He's going to be 30 by the start of next season.
So is he getting to the age where he's now too old to be considered in a dynasty sort of
I told you,
draft?
29's too old, and the way this draft's been going, 25's too old because Brayshaw's the cut off at 25.
Yeah.
Marshall the exception, but Ruck's a different. So the pick's in.
I think we're in.
We're in.
Alrighty, mate. Take it away.
All right, where are we up to? Pick 15. Cash money. With the 15th pick in the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules Draft, Cash Money selects Isaiah Wanganeen Millera.
Wow. Now I like this.
This is a goodie. I am always amazed at how young this guy is. You always think he's older than he is. I believe he's still only 21 and has just been a weapon competing it back there with Jack Sinclair. Definitely this year, but also even a little bit last year.
For sure. Now, this is a player that is not going to come up in my rankings anymore. I was probably one away from my top 5 or best available. Yeah, he is just an absolute stud. You're going to be looking at a couple of different positions at this point because, a lot of the midfielders and maybe why people are skipping, like your Merritts, your Dawsons, they're in and amongst the same. So you're not really getting a competitive edge, let's call it, against the others. So you look at someone like Wanganeen Millera. This is someone you're going to get a competitive edge with. Not only is he startable now and someone you're going to want to put into your squad, but in the near future, he could only get better. As we just spoke about, he's definitely rivaling with someone like Jack Sinclair in terms of touches, but there's going to come a time and a day where that role fully becomes his, and we could see his disposal numbers get even higher than what they are, and they're already at an elite level.
Yeah, he's already fantastic at such a young age. Did he get an all-star card this year?
He did.
So he's had the 7th highest average as a defender. But yeah, he must have given him the tick for that. But let's go to the best available now as we move on to the next selection, which is at number 16. We've got Hughes Heroes.
He's on the clock.
He is on the clock. No change to our best available. Those Port players are still there.
Those poor players. Jason Horn-Francis is not moving, mate.
No, he's not. Just looking through some of the other ones, the names. Marcus Bontempelli, best player in the competition. Too old?
Allegedly.
Oh,
Continually actually the best player, but never gets the recognition for it.
yeah, poor guy.
He just can't get it.
No, he can't. What about, can I give you a sneaky?
Yeah.
And you'll love this. Tim English.
Tingles.
One down year, and then one of the best dynasty players in the game done. We know how highly the Ruckman are rated. Are we just putting the line through his name?
No, we're not. English gang is going to thrive.
Yeah. Well, looks like we got the pick coming in early here.
Pick's in?
It's not in. It's coming in early. No, it's no longer coming in early. But maybe they heard what I said. Maybe they thought, you know what?
Maybe they thought, he's right.
Tim English.
44. Western Bulldogs. English gang.
You're not going Gorn, and then you're definitely not going down to any other Ruckman. So there's only a few people you can actually probably run through. So, yeah, I'd be looking through. What about traditionally not big fantasy players, but what if you had a big key forward like a Jesse Hogan or a Danaher and it has this prize card and you stream them in because no one scores higher than forwards who score 200. But unless Mindir, of course, Mindir scored 200. Let's go on. Pick in. We'll stop our rambling.
Stop our rambling. Pick is in. Let's take it.
Hughes Heroes with the 16th pick in the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules draft selects Zach Butters.
Zach Butters.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I know you do.
I love it. Actually, I love it.
This
Great
is the prize
pick.
card you wish you took.
No. Don't do that to Connor. That is still a fantastic pick. I was telling you about the upside. This guy wins you weeks. He is fantastic. He's not going to win you this week, but he will win you weeks in fantasy. I think it's a great pick. And Mick, I still think he's only, 24? Max 25 heading into this year. So, yeah, I love the pick.
There's 4 letters. S-T-U-D. Start of a player. You absolutely want someone like Zach Butters in your midfield. I guess the only limitation to having a prize card Butters, and I'm sure Hughes Heroes being in the position he is already knows this, is that it probably isn't an instance where you're going to want to start him every week. But if you pick those matchups where you know he's going to dominate, he's going to be in the best on top 5 scorers for rounds multiple times in the season because his play style and the way that he contributes in terms of fantasy points, he just explodes.
Yeah.
He had that game, he had 160 fantasy points in 3 quarters. We could have given him a whole nother quarter and he could have pushed up to 210.
Big boom or bust player.
Absolutely.
Man,
but
I
if
love
he's
the
hitting
boom.
the scoreboard, he's contributing in terms of kicking a couple goals here and there and dominating that centre clearance as we know he can. He's a great pick. And to get him at pick 16 all the way in this draft,
Absolute steal.
ticks the dynasty
Is it
box.
the pick of the draft so far?
This could be the slide
I
of the
like
draft
it.
so far, in my opinion.
Well, we've still got Jason on the board. That will be the biggest slide off the lot. But no, that is a great pick. Port goggles off. I love the pick. Let's go on because it means
We're getting to the tail end of the draft.
Dunkley's popped up for me. Mr. Triple
Look who just popped up
quadruple
for me.
double. And Tim English is on the board.
English
We're just
gang.
speaking about him. We've only got...
You know, I knew
Four-
he was coming. I didn't know it was next pick, but I knew it was
You
close.
knew it was close.
I did.
Well, yeah.
Am I silly for doing that? Am I
No.
just grabbing at straws here?
No, I think Tim English is too talented and just had a bad year. Contract year. Didn't know if he wanted to leave. The Bevo situation. A lot going on at that
He got
football
bevoed.
club. He got... Nah,
People get bevoed.
I don't think he was entirely happy. I just love
How
that.
about McCrayan and
Everyone
Caleb Daniel?
wanting
They
out.
got bevoed.
They got bevoed, yeah. Tim English definitely had the opportunity. He can't say he did it.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
So I think he'll come back. So I do like that pick, but
40
you know,
seconds here on the clock. It's coming in nice and
Beast
close.
Mode Madison, our last coach that was going to jump on the stream with us. Good friends
Maybe
with
Sloth Kings as well.
maybe
But yeah, one
maybe-
of.
one
of
of.
the last.
one of. Would have been good to have the last pick talking through.
Look, we'll
the
definitely
20.
make sure that this is all fixed up by the rugby league prize
Ooh.
card draft, which will be same time, same
2
place, just 2 weeks in the future. So We're going to get all of our best competitors. We're going to do the same type of draft, but for our rugby league game here on GameDay Squad.
Yeah, and do not worry. You do not have to listen to me and Tom pretend we know what's going on in the rugby league.
David Fafita.
So we've got a couple of special guests that'll be jumping on and hosting that.
They're going to pass it to people who are a lot more equipped with
potentially
with
some
those
people who are
rights.
going to be running our rugby league show from next year, which we're super pumped to have them on. So if you do have a pick in the rugby league and you've somehow done the double, which I do know there's a few coaches who compete at the top level across both, next week or 2 weeks' time, we've got this.
We'll see you there.
We will see you there. We'll be behind the scenes running it all. But we've got what are we up to? 4 picks to go. We're not going to get through our whole boards. How much does players that you just like, no fantasy reasons behind it, how much does that come into play at this stage? Would you sit here and just be like, I know you want Heaney, but you just go, hey, I like Heaney. He's a swan. I'm taking him. And I'll sit here and be like, you know what? And I have done in the past with Rosie.
I truly believe that there is definitely some players here that you want to target, but you want to be a little bit different. Someone that might come up on my rankings a little soon. Is someone like...
We'll get to it. Hold that thought because the pick is in.
Pick is in.
So hold that thought. Here we go. Pick 17 in the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules Draft. Beast Mode Madison selects. Oh, yeah. Jason Horne-Francis. Woohoo! That is the pick of the draft. That back-to-back pick of the draft, 16, 17.
I'm so
steals,
upset that you were right.
Steals.
I so just didn't want you to be right.
You know I'm right. That is a fantastic pick.
Before Dan Rioli?
Before Dan Rioli, before Tim English, and
Fair
before
enough.
anyone else
Well,
that
I
you've
guess-
tried to put in your gang this year.
Let's give you the floor. Talk about why someone's going to want Jason Horne-Francis at this position, because not only has he been one of the players you've been talking about, but he's been on your board for a while here.
Yeah, I just think that the talent of this guy is immense. I think, look at that Port midfielder. He is easily the most talented. Now, he's not going to get the same footy at this stage, and he's got a lot to develop, doesn't have the motor, doesn't have the work ethic, but it reminds me very much of like a prime Petrarca that could just be explosive in the middle and then go down forward and kick 3-4 goals. So,
do you know what he's like? You know, you get like ratings for players. 99 talent, 99 tantrum as well.
loves to throw away a 50 in a game, so that's not going well.
Loves a tantrum.
But I think he's a great pick. I'll be honest, bit of a risk for fantasy because he's got the upside as a player. Doesn't always transition to fantasy, but if he can get consistent with it, I love it. So
Sure.
we just need Rosie here now going number 18 by the Arrogant Frogs, and I'll have been absolutely stoked.
Please don't.
So
You don't let Port beat North.
And
North deserve this win.
I did actually want to see this pop up, but Geordie Dawson somehow has entered my best available as well.
Yes.
The fraudulent Crow has.
But back to my point before, by the way.
yeah, sorry, I cut you off. Going, I was just so excited.
The pick was in. It had to be cut off. But this is where I think you take some risks. And later on in my rankings here, you know, Tim English has popped up. What about someone like Jordan Clark? A defender for Freo. What about a young gun like him who you know is going to be getting bulk possessions? Look, he's not going to be winning the free kick duties of Luke Ryan because that man has locked up that job and won't be letting it go. But they were the combination of players that kicked it more to each other than any other in the entire competition.
What about Dan Houston on a new team? Will he get the same role? He's got the talent. Was obviously one of our defenders as well. I do like the
There was points of this season.
They both missed out, them being all-stars, I believe.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't go Clark. I want to know that if I pick the All-Star card that I actually like the player. So yeah, I wouldn't want to hope do that. But you know what? You've touched a couple of players this year. Mitch Hinge, the little look, and Zach Merritt.
Sorry,
one of them's on your board.
That sounded so sus. I met and greeted a couple of players this year.
Merritt,
yes,
who's on your board? Hinge, and
Yes.
Matty Rao.
And I also allegedly did try to convince Matty Hinge to become a Swans fan, and I think he bought it.
He did. He definitely picked up his form after it. So,
Well, if he wasn't at the time, I know he's definitely one now because of that interaction.
yeah, no, you've done well there.
Because they're out.
Pick 18 is in.
Pick 18 is in. Take it away, Cal.
The Arrogant Frogs in the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules Draft selects Lockie Whitfield.
Oh, he's Mate, he's not too old.
We have the oldest player in the draft at 18. What? Not 18 years old, at pick 18. The number soon to be 30, Lockie Whitfield, was one of the dominant defenders. The dominant defender, actually, by average this season. Most disposals in the entire competition. And has Arrogant Frogs got him at a steal at number 18?
This is definitely one of those win now plays. And I love it. Arrogant Frogs is thinking, you know, my position this year, 7th in the classic competition.
8th?
8th in the classic competition, sorry. Is
very close to not being in the prize card hunt.
Yes, but he's doubling down and he's saying that this is the start of my campaign here on GameDay Squad.
Dynasty.
And he's going, I want the best player in terms of average, and I want the win now option in Lockie Whitfield. I think Arrogant Frogs here is going to double down in terms of this season, and he sort of believes that this is the beginning of the Frogs and that we could see him
the beginning of the Frogs. The rise of the Frogs. He's already off to a way better start.
The rise of the dynasty is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I like it.
We're going to see him here again next year, this time, thinking that Whitfield card was the difference maker.
Build the collection. I do like it. Yeah, great pick. I'm actually a big fan of it. I would be, you start getting close and being like, you need a zag when everyone's zigging. And I think everyone going so young, I can see why he's going, you know what? Let's go for one of the oldie guys. Do we go again?
We're heading into pick 19, 9th in the classic competition. The Hastings Hornets here is on the clock.
Sorry, mate. Jason's already off the board. You can't add him. But I tell you what, there's still some pretty good players. Tom Green, just quietly, what was he on draft boards heading into this year? I know a lot of people were big on Tom Green to win the Brownlow just with his trajectory.
Someone that had him at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
That name was Kerm.
Other way. Kerm over here.
That way. And helping us behind the scenes here. But I had Goulden at number 1.
Goulden, that was easy.
For good reason.
And great reason. And what did Goulden go again tonight? 3? Well, we're going to find out soon again. We got the
Did I get stick for Goulden's now becoming a mid? He won't be as good pre-season from you?
Might have happened, yeah.
Allegedly.
Might have happened. There's no tape of it. I'm still waiting for the tape. I think it was round 1.
The Butters v.
Goulden
tape. It's out there. You've deleted it from the channel, so I can't get it.
I wouldn't know how to do that. But yes, we can pretend that's what's happened.
You don't know how to delete a channel?
Maybe I've done it once.
Relters Rockets called you out for it before. Anyway, let's continue. Is the pick in?
The pick is not in. So we're waiting. We're waiting on the clock.
This is like high pressure situations here because it really, as you mentioned before, the player board just sort of opens up here. You're not really narrow sighted in terms of like, this is who I want, because so much has happened in this draft already. You know, so many of the great, amazing dynasty players have already been taken that I guess you maybe start to second guess yourself. Do you want to continue along this train and fall into this trap of maybe taking players you don't want, or do you do what Arrogant Frogs did and just go, let's win now. Let's get a Lockie Whitfield, because there are still plenty of those players left on the board.
Yeah, it's a great question. There's still a few good dynasty prospects like Tim Taranto's no oldie, and even someone like Dylan Moore is still quite young, hasn't been on our board.
True.
But 19, second last pick of the draft, but the 19th pick, the Hastings Hornets select Marcus Bontempelli.
The big bad Bont.
The big bad Bont finally goes off the board. Arguably the best player in the entire game.
He was close to being snubbed again in his career. He always gets snubbed. Just Brownlows.
Going undrafted. Gotcha. Sorry.
But not this time. Because Hastings Hornets thought at pick 19, this is some absolute value. And I'm going to be taking him.
I love the pick. I think Bont is fantastic, and he's just always going to be solid. You're never going to feel bad about playing Bont in your squad. Does probably mean Treloar, the guy who had the better year right next to him, will go undrafted.
But the more age, with the better season, does come a higher age cost with Adam Treloar.
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking, personally, this is the right decision. If you're going to pick between one or the other, unless it's like win now, fully all in, this is a bit of a both play. You can sit in the middle. You can get the younger player of the two, but you can also get a win now player in Marcus Bontempelli.
Yeah, like I said, I think he's the best player in the comp, so I would love to have a Bont on my side and be supporting him every single week. So it does mean, Tom, we are now on the clock for our last pick. We're not quite yet. I'm just waiting for the all clear that the best available is updated, but should be because neither of us had Bont on the board. So it should be all good to go.
Should be. Let's do it. Last pick of the draft is going to...
Sloth Kings. Sorry, I thought you were pointing to me.
I
was like, wowee. Have I been called the audible? Have I traded up to take the 20th pick? No, I haven't. But I tell you what, I do want to be here next year, and I do want to be taking a pick.
I will be here next year.
We're going to have 4 competitions from the start of next year. We're going to have the starter, classic, the challenger, and the champion. All are going to have prize cards. Full details.
It makes it a little harder.
Makes it a little bit harder. We still have to announce the full details, but it does mean even coaches competing in the starter competition are going to be competing for prize cards here on this night. But
Starter sounds like your competition.
I didn't do very well in that either. I don't do very well.
I refuse to decline any further comments.
You need to speak to my manager. But Sloth Kings is on the board. They've had a long wait, but I tell you what, with those names there, I think you'd be really happy with one of them. And I tell you what, the pick is in, and I'd be stoked with this. With the 20th pick of the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules Draft, the last selection here in our 2024 prize card pool, Sloth Kings selects Tom Green.
Oh, this is a player I know we spoke about. Didn't have the 2024 campaign that we all thought he was going to have, but in terms of dynasty value and as an asset, he's still right there and amongst the best.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be stoked with this guy because I think, what is he, 23, 24? This guy's nowhere near the best Tom Green, and he's obviously in a very good Giants team at the moment. So he is someone I'd love to be playing in my squad.
Yeah,
like you said, has been a little bit disappointing at times. I know I'm burnt by that game where he went off in the first quarter against your Swans at the SCG in the first clash of the year. But outside of that, like, he's been good without being great, but we know he can be great. And if you were to say, hey, 20th pick, you snuck in and you got Tom Green, you'd be pretty stoked with that.
Nice. That is the last pick of the draft, hey? How good was that?
I had a lot of fun. In a moment, we're going to update the full draft board. It is ready to go, Tom. Let's have a quick recap of all 20 players selected by our winning coaches. And that is one hell of a board.
Mate, let's talk through it. Cherry, bit of a surprise for the number 1 pick, but I can completely understand the thought process.
I get it. The top 4, like we said, no surprises with the top 4. Maybe a bit of surprise of the order. I think some of us would have even had that order completely upside down. But hey, that's why we love it. And you know what? It's probably a good reason we're not in here selecting. So we had a bit of a run of the younger fellas in Reed and Ashcroft. That was a bit of fun. And then again with Philippou and McKercher. My Power Boys going 16th and 17th.
Yep.
No one took a Rosie, which means that my one is worth that little bit more because no one else has them. So that's all good.
No one wants it.
I look at the upside. And then I tell you what, couple of Smith was taken, so there's now just need to remind everyone that there's now 3 Smiths out there. Couple of good players there to finish it off in Bont and Whitfield as some older, and then Tommy Green. So I love that as a board. Anything that jumps out when you're staring at that?
Mate, well, I told you about my McKercher thoughts before, but Fez and the seaman who came first in the classic competition, he was potentially going to be taken at 4 if that board went a little differently. So clearly, that's either maybe the biggest reach or the biggest steal of the draft, but that's pending to find out.
Yeah.
That's one that definitely shocked me. The Reed into Ashcroft, the back-to-back former number 1 picks definitely shocked me as well. I was very surprised someone like Flanders didn't go there.
Mate. I was going to say, how many number 1s have we gone off that board?
But you got to say,
Reed, Ashcroft, Walsh, Sean Francis.
Was Nick Martin on your board?
Yeah, he was on there.
Okay, because
I didn't have it as high, but he was in. I think it was my top 10.
I think I nailed that ranking personally prior.
Well, so does MP666. He agreed with you. He thinks that you got an absolute. He got an absolute steal with Martin there, and I like it. So, no, that's fantastic. I believe that's all we've got here.
That's all we've got, mate. I still can't believe at 20 we have Tom Green. Someone who was a consensus top 3 pick pre-season in terms of midfield rankings on GameDay Squad, has just gone 20th in the draft.
Yeah, crazy. And no Tim English, which means I'm going to be happy going to bed tonight. Just want to give a shout out to...
Means more valuable, right? Less of them.
Yeah. Just want to give a shout out to the team behind the scenes, in particular Kerm tonight, making sure that we could get this up and running. Want to give a shout out to everyone. We got through those early issues after the cherry bomb went off at pick number 1. Shame we couldn't get everyone's jumping on the stream, hearing everyone's voices. But like we said, when the rugby league's back in 2 weeks, it'll be definitely be on, and we'll make sure that this live draft event is bigger and better next year as well. So,
absolutely, everyone that tuned in, all of our coaches, again, congratulations on such a fantastic campaign. We appreciate your time and trialing the draft with us tonight. Of course, a couple of improvements to make in terms of calling people in, but we are stoked to be able to give this experience to allow people to really dive in to that coaching mindset and to draft for their squads for now and the future. So hopefully this is the beginning of a lot of great things in terms of this. And as we said, we really appreciate all of your time tonight. Thanks everyone that made this happen and allowed it to happen. And we'll catch you all in 2 weeks' time. Same here. We won't be in front of the screen, but we'll see you all for the Rugby League prize card draft. How exciting. The action doesn't stop here, Cal. So we'll leave